Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by Generals Joe's REBORN.com, with me as your host, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostik80. For today's episode, I'm all on my own. In this regular video series, I round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, me?
It's the Full Force Weekly. Now, I shouldn't technically be on my own, but I haven't been able to get hold of Pat so far today, so it was a last minute scenario. If he does join, if he's just, like unavailable, can't get in right now, if he can join later on, obviously he can slot right into the show. But as it is, it's just me today for the weekly. Lots to get through though. We've had tons of Pat. Yeah, that's true, Ryan. No Pat today. Has anyone seen Naked HD? Good point. Hello to everyone in the chat. Hello to everyone who's watching after the fact. This might not be live for you. You might be watching it in the future. So hello, future you. What is it like out there in 2028? I don't know. I don't know when you're going to be watching this video. Who knows? Anyway, lots to get through today. Loads of news. So, and like I said, if Pat does show up, if he does turn up, I'll just throw it. He'll seamlessly appear as if by magic. But at the moment, it's just me. So you're just getting me. I hope that's okay for everybody. Should I'll just go straight into the news, I guess. Oh, hang on. What's Mark saying? Talking Joe. I love that you will normally do a live for the launch of a golf cover and nothing after, just a little bit of news that dropped recently. Right. Well, okay. Yeah, but that's the thing. I was saving it. I was saving the big news from Super 7 for today. Plus, we're interviewing Brian Flynn ourselves as well. So I thought like it would have been a bit overkill, me going live with the news burst on that one. But we are covering that today. So let's get into it. First up then, we have, and this is sad because I really wanted to talk to Pat about this. Now, before we get into the next news segment, I interviewed about 2 hours ago. I interviewed Kerry Vandenberg from Maple Powered Games, developers for Wrath of Cobra. It was great. Had a great time. That will be going up at some point soon. As soon as I edit it, as soon as Hasbro sign off, as soon as everyone's happy, it will go out. But it's awesome. Had a great time with Kerry, chatting with him about the game and how much fun it looks, and he gave us loads of cool insights into the game. So we'll be doing an interview with him, and that'll be coming out very soon, maybe early next week. We'll see how it goes, because obviously over the weekend ain't nobody going to be responding to anything in an official capacity, so we'll see. But our first news segment is exactly that. It's Wrath of Cobra news.
More gameplay from the Wrath of Cobra video game was revealed yesterday on a video from PC Gamer. PC Gaming Shows Most Wanted. The new footage gives us a better look at the gameplay, with a few new looks at final boss characters like Dr. Mindbender and Major Blood. The game should be dropping in Q1 of 2024, and we will be interviewing one of the developers for the game very soon on the channel, so keep it locked.
Yeah, I just said that, Chris. Why are you saying it again? Just kidding. Yes, so Wrath of Cobra. This looks so much fun, and we've got even more, I suppose, footage, gameplay, etc., to kind of get involved with. And just supremely excited for this game. It's so much fun. It's so cute. I love the pixel art. Honestly, the interview I just did with Kerry is really fun, and it gives us lots of insights into the game and the development of it and what we can expect. It's going to be cool. And Mark has said, Pat told me he wants to join Talking Joe and leave you. So that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I want to say Pat's just seen my messages. So I wonder if he'll be ready to jump in. We'll see. Do you know what they're doing with Gung Ho's chest tattoo? Couldn't work it out on my little screen. Well, let's talk about some of these screen caps first, and then I'll get to Gung Ho, because I'm not entirely sure if I've seen that particular aspect or paid attention to it. But I can say that the sprites have been modeled all literally from a 360 perspective on the figures, the original figures. So that That's all I can say. Pat has joined me. I'm going to have to do a bumper to get him in. This is going to be awkward, but I want him involved. I want Pat in the game. So this is what's going to happen. As soon as I see that he's ready to go, I'm going to do a little bumper video. And yeah, it looks like it's going to happen. It looks like it's going to happen. It looks like Pat is in the game. Are you guys ready for this? Here we go. Can Chris do it, though? That's the question. Can he do it? I don't know. This is going to be difficult. Here I go. Seamless.
Hey.
What is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Weekly.
Yay! Better late than never, I guess. But that's brilliant. A new player enters. I like that. That's perfect. Isn't it? It's like we planned this.
I just put my quarters in.
Yeah, you just put your quarters in and you just appeared like your player 2. That's brilliant. Welcome to the Full Force Weekly Championship Edition Turbo. Amazing stuff. Amazing. Action J said Pat's probably still recovering from O-ring news. Modern Joe's question mark.
I actually was up a little late reading everybody's reaction to O-ring news.
There you go. That's what it is. Mate, I'm happy. I had to put the intro, though, the solo intro, so people are going to think you're not involved in this episode, and here you are. Yeah, okay, so I've just been telling everyone, buddy, that I've interviewed Kerry Vandenberg, the Maple-powered games developer for the G.I. Joe Wrath of Cobra game, and lo and behold, we're talking about new screen gameplay and everything right now, and I was just saying that I was upset that I couldn't talk to you about it.
Yeah, I saw this, but I didn't really dissect it. So I'm kind of curious what all you have here as stills.
Yeah, I got a few stills, otherwise we'd be here for hours. And there wasn't much that I could see that was super new. So I got what I think is super new on here. It's including like Dr. Mindbender and Major Blood, who've shown up now, which is really cool to see. And like I said, Kerry's kind of filled us in on a few of those little kind of details, which we'll wait for the interview to get the information on that. But this is really cool, and we can still talk about these, Pat. So obviously we've got Duke punching up some Cobra Troopers. Now we've seen this pretty much before, haven't we? This one's not really new. We've also seen this one as well, but I don't think I've ever noticed a knife brandished by one of the Cobra Troopers before.
No, I didn't notice that either. I wonder if that's something that you can pick up if they drop.
Yeah, you definitely can pick items up. There are those little kind of intel discs. I love those little discs knocking about, which you can kind of collect for. I'm not sure exactly what that is for. I think just for like points or like health, not health, but like, I don't know, just intel throughout the game, I guess. But yeah, the gun you can pick up and drop. I think the knife would be pretty cool if you could do that too, actually.
Yeah, I kind of assume that it is actually just the way that it's graphically on there.
Yeah,
kind of in a a perfect side appearance to it. Yeah,
defo. So that's really cute. That's a cute one. Then we've got like this one. I thought was cool because we've got some Night Raven drones in the background, which I thought was a nice touch.
Oh yeah, I actually didn't notice that.
Yeah, so this is obviously Roadblock doing his thing. Now, one thing that we were told was that each character that you can play with, each playable character, is very different in the way that they move, in the speed, and in their attacks. So it's like you've got different things for different characters, basically. And it's pretty obvious what a lot of those are. And I'll save one of those, kind of the details for one of those characters for Kerry to explain. But yeah, like Roadblock, as you can imagine, is a little slower, but he packs more of a punch in terms of his special kind of like, special move or special attack, which is kind of cool. But again, what do you think of this one, Pat? Like in the Night Raven drones?
For sure, yeah. Everything about this game keeps on just looking like more and more fun every time I see any little bit of it.
The Figure Six Pack says the discs are a remnant or AOL Online. Oh my God, there's a throwback. I used to have so many of those, like they were regular like CD style discs, weren't they? Like CD drive.
I think very early on they were floppies. Very
Were they?
Yeah.
Oh man, I just remember having a crap ton of the CD drive ones and just being like, why do I have so many of these? Like on every magazine that you ever bought back then as well.
And every day in your mailbox as well.
Yes, yes. And like it's electronic now. You don't have to send us stuff through the post, AOL. It's like so meta that. Anyway, and then of course we've got this one, which I just thought was fun because it shows Roblox doing a massive jump knee kick sort of scenario. But also we've got Bazooka Troopers, which is kind of cool too.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. It's definitely the 25th one too. That's cool. It has the webbing on his helmet.
Yeah, they've got like, so basically they've utilized, I'm giving all the game away from my previous interview, but they're basically were given by Hasbro all of their materials to kind of work with. So I think you're going to get a lot of like, where they're using like retro inspired characters or like, vintage inspired characters that have used the turnarounds of the figures. And when they've used, and then like 25th, for example, for, for characters like this. And so they've had a lot to work with, and it looks like we're going to get a lot in this game as well, which is pretty awesome. So that's fun.
Well, yeah, it will be fun, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be funny the way that you'll be playing the game, and some enemy will show up to destroy you, but you'll be just overjoyed to see them.
Yeah, yeah. You'll be like, friggin' run me over, his tank. I don't care. This is amazing. You'd be like, Major Blood. Oh my God, yeah, just beat me up. It's great. This is amazing. Yeah, very true. Very true. I read it's coming to Switch. I'll buy it for that. Adam S. Yes, it's going to be PC and Switch on day one release. And then very shortly afterwards, they're aiming for all console like Xbox, PlayStation, etc. So the idea is to get it on multiple platforms. But day one, I believe it's going to be PC and Switch. Anyway, yeah, so awesome stuff. That's that one. This one I really love because it's got Scarlet in the middle of her sort of like Guile Sonic Boom kick sort of job. But then also we've got those amazing intruders in the background, which I just can't get enough of, honestly.
Yeah, this is actually the one that I was going to bring up, but then I thought you probably have a picture of her later on because it was so cool seeing her do that kick. And I know that that's going to be the go-to move for her, whatever I'm playing as Scarlet.
100%.
Yeah.
I think the fun thing about this is that like even if you complete this, because of the difference in character styles, it'll be like worth going through it again as a different character. Do you know what I mean? And like, yeah. So like, I think there's going to be, I can't get, I'm still buzzing over today after talking to Kerry about it, but like this game makes me very excited. I can't tell you that enough. Make me one of your dog tags, Blood, says Pastor Pierogi. Make me one of your victims. It's not on mobile, no, Paisano, but I don't think that's off the table necessarily. Yes, it's the Invader in the background there, guys. The Star Brigade era Invader Pogo repaint. Mm-hmm. Right. Now, yeah, this is another great. This is Scarlet kicking butt or getting her butt kicked by Major Butt Kicking Blood on the moon, by the way, as well. Have you noticed?
Oh yeah, yeah. I like the throne too. The Cobra throne.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. Pretty dope. So there's all sorts of. I mean, there's a definite narrative running through this game. Again, I'm going to save all of that for Kerry to explain. But there's a lot of cool like elements to this and a lot of fun elements to this. I think people are going to enjoy this a lot, genuinely. There's Durant. Do I think the game will be on Mac eventually? I do. Yeah. I think that I do think they'll probably make it a version of it. If it's, I think if it's popular enough, it'll go on everything. It's not in the Arctic, no. Figure 6-pack. I can tell you now that is the moon. But that is a good shout, actually. You could easily have just thought, yeah, it was like at night in the Arctic, absolutely. But no, it is actually the moon. But it's loads of fun. Right, that's what. Yeah, do you like? I mean, it's cool to see Major Blood, isn't it?
For sure, yeah. I that was one of the things I got excited about seeing the gameplay again, but I'm just ready to play the game. They don't really need to show me any more trailers. I'm sold.
It's so true. The other thing I was going to say is I like the fact they're dipping into the well. Not necessarily, we're not seeing Cobra Commander, we're not seeing Destro, we're not seeing Baroness. We're seeing Dr. Mindbender and we're seeing Major Blood as kind of like lead-ins to these kind of like boss. Sorry, I'm the police are here. And speaking of which, here's Mindbender, who's doing some sort of like phasing kind of thing here as Snake Eyes attacks. So that's really interesting as well. Like he's obviously got some cool special like moves to kind of like pull on you.
Yeah, there's definitely 3 Dr. Mindbenders there at least, huh?
Yeah, maybe he's cloned himself.
Yeah, so he's got some sort of well, yeah, maybe he's cloned himself because those could be cloning chambers in the back, couldn't they?
Maybe he's like it's a Rick and Morty style thing. He's like doing a Rick and he's just like portaling and getting loads of different Ricks involved. Dr. Mindbender's become Rick from Rick and Morty. But yeah, it's cool. I like this a lot. And of course, little kind of Desert Troopers repaint sort of vibe as well.
Yeah, from the 25th era again. It's pretty cool. I like the fact that they're using all this stuff.
Yeah, I like this. Very, very interesting. And then we get to Snake Eyes pulling a special move on about 5 Cobra Troopers at once. That's impressive work.
Yeah, I wonder how many of these moves. I wonder what the gameplay is going to be like, because a lot of times the fun moves are things you have to wait for a power meter to build up or something you can't keep on using.
Oh yeah,
a million times. So
I wonder if those collecting those little intel things, those little those little floppy disks, build your special attacks up and stuff like that. Yeah, awesome stuff. Again, like I could look at these screenshots all day long, but that's it. I thought I had a gung ho one in there. I must have forgot to put it in. Sorry, guys, my bad. But there was obviously we've got gung ho footage now as well. I could have sworn I put that in there. Anyway, my bad. But yeah, Wrath of Cobra coming Q1 2024. And there you go, Steam, Hasbro Retro Arcade, etc., etc. That's a fun little logo as well. I think that might be this might be the first. I think this might be the first game on Hasbro Retro Arcade as well. I don't think we've seen any Hasbro Retro Arcade games yet, have we?
No, I don't think so. And I wonder what else could be coming.
You wonder. Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. Right, so there's Wrath of Cobra. That's Wrath of Cobra. That's everything, I think, for Wrath of Cobra. Stop saying Wrath of Cobra. Next up, we have a little... I mean, do we need to say any more about this, Pat? I mean, we're both excited as hell for it. We don't want to see any more. We just want to play it.
I'm ready for it. It's fine.
Let's do this.
Q4, yeah, let's do it. Actually, I was thinking it was Q4, but Q1, that's even better.
Yeah, it's like early as opposed to late in the year.
Yeah, it's pretty soon.
Anyway, next up then, we have a bit of Hiya Toys news.
It wouldn't be a weekly without another Hiya Toys reveal. Yep, Tiger Force Flint was the latest figure to be announced from the exquisite mini 4-inch range, and it looks like Hiya have either dug deep into the classified as yet unseen concept vault, or they've decided to flex their own muscles for a new Tiger Force deco. Either way, I like where this is going, but what do we think about this one?
What do we think about this one, Pat? Are you amazed that Hiya is still churning them out?
I am surprised, and I don't have any yet. I did order some last week from the link we were sent, but we'll see. I don't know. I don't really love this one, but it's for a couple of reasons, I think. I don't really love the sculpt on the Flint figure to begin with.
Oh, okay.
So of any of the figures for there to be a repaint, Flint wouldn't be my choice. And then the Tiger Force aspect of it, I do think is it's interesting.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's what I prefer for Tiger Force. And yeah, like you said in the video, is this something that they just made up, or are they going off of something that they were sent that was one of the options that maybe was being kicked around for classified Flint?
Yeah, and I think that's the big question. I may even pose that question to Lenny and team, hopefully next week. We'll see how that pans out. But yeah, like I've got this. It's a weird one with Flint. Now, I personally like. I'm a big fan of the classified Flint, but this particular version of Flint, I do not like the head sculpt. And obviously, this one kind of continues that and hasn't changed it. And like, I don't know, I'm just not a fan. It's the only one I don't really like head sculpt wise from the Hiya Toys reveals so far. And yeah, it's a shame because obviously Flint, I love Flint. Flint's like one of my favorite characters. I love the figure. You know, obviously he was synonymous with Action Force back in the day. So like, I'm torn because it's Flint, but then also I'm not a massive fan of the head sculpt. Now, in terms of the deco, you're right. There are two kind of camps we could be in here. Like it could be that they're doing their own thing with it, Hiya Toys, or this is one of those kind of like concept decos that have been given to Hiya Toys by Hasbro as like a bundle of materials for the classified series, which obviously are going to be more accessible, more detailed, more curated because of the nature of the fact that it's so young in its inception. Whereas if you were trying to get materials for like, Tiger Force Vintage, you're not going to have much to work with other than the figures and, some materials that have kind of like stuck behind. Do you know what I mean? Like the stuff gets lost over the years is what I'm getting at. Whereas with classified, they'd have had this curated kind of like amount of like stuff that may not have made it out yet or may not be coming out at all. So yeah, it's difficult to say, and it would be nice to find out if that was like a Lenny design, for example, a deco thing that Lenny did, or if it was a Hiya Toys kind of situation. What I will say though is I did mention this I did a news burst about this in the week, and it almost looks like electricity rather than tiger stripes. And that was utilized on the card art backgrounds for the European exclusive Tiger Force figures.
Yeah.
So I wonder if someone who was doing this deco was utilizing that as an homage, if you know what I mean.
That actually feels a little likely to me, because orange really wasn't a color that you saw in Tiger Force other than the European ones either, was it?
Well, and then the 2000s and the Joe-Con set and everything. Yeah, you're right though.
Right. I mean, I'm thinking original run.
Oh, yeah, vintage wise, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it does kind of have that. Well, especially the fact that Flint already had a color and then he's getting a new one, kind of reminds me of the 2000s, the early 2000s, like with like Tunnel Rat getting a new Night Force figure. So it is kind of reminiscent of that, just in the fact that it does not match.
Yeah. I'm also, it's funny, isn't it, that Flint actually has a classified Tiger Force deco in classified.
Yeah.
And that it's not that they've done, which that kind of really interests me. And also, I think I did mention as well on the burst that I felt like it looked more like Beachhead. His 2000 and whatever.
Oh, yeah, the 2004 Beachhead, the one from the convention.
Just the way that the deco is positioned, I think it's 2003 or 4, something like that. But just the way that the deco's positioned and like where it is kind of aesthetically, not like the exact deco, because he doesn't have the electricity kind of black.
Right, but it's the orange and green. I agree. It does kind of look like that.
So yeah, it's, I don't know, just interesting really. And I'd like to know the behind the scenes of this one in terms of who did it, who decoed it up, who decided on this kind of like vibe for this Tiger Force Flint figure. But I don't know, like other than the head sculpt, I'm into it. But unfortunately, the head sculpt's pretty prominent. And the other day, someone said in the comments, and this, I think it was Leon Jamo, I want to shout out Leon for this. He said, it looks like one of those 50s puppet dolls, like wooden puppet dolls. And I'm like, that's it. That's what I was trying to, yeah.
Yeah, I just double checked. Orange was used in Tiger Force, but only a little bit, like the highlights of Sky Striker, but not quite this color of orange. So yeah,
Yeah.
this specific color, it does look like the backgrounds, and yeah, he does look like a '50s puppet. It's
It
a little frightening.
really, I mean, when he said that in the comments, I'm just like, it was like, yes, that's what I've been desperately trying to figure out this entire time. But yeah, so, and he comes with some interesting bits and pieces actually with this Flint. We've also got what looks like Falcon's shotgun here, which is interesting and makes you wonder, Pat, do you think we're getting a Falcon, and do you think they're going to do you think they're going to copy the classified version?
No.
What would you prefer? Would you prefer a 1950s wooden doll Falcon head, or the Falcon original classified head sculpt?
You want to scale this up for the 25th Falcon? Is that what you're saying?
No, as in there's a classified version with a crap head, and there are Hiya Toys going to be doing a 4-inch version because there's a Falcon rifle, Falcon shotgun in here. So is this like a pre-empting of a Falcon figure coming into the Hiya series? And in which case, are they going to do a classified copy and make a terrible head sculpt?
Right. It would be curious. I'll be curious to see how they, since they're having a little bit of trouble handling the Flint head sculpt, it would be funny to see them try to. Would they make it worse, or would it look exactly the same?
What do you prefer?
I don't know.
Well,
I would prefer them to just not do it. I generally don't like that Falcon figure, even aside from the head sculpt. There's just a lot of details on it that I don't love.
Crap deco.
Just the way the pants are, the lack of the flashlight. There's just a lot of stuff that's cool about Falcon that didn't make it into that figure.
Yeah, which is weird because they do have a flashlight in the, in the classified series. They could have just reused it, I guess.
But like his pants had that interesting flashlight that was like the curve at the top, like the original Tunnel Rat comes with.
Yeah, and like I said, we've got flashlights in the classified series mold logistics, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like they have one, so they could have used it. I don't know why they didn't. Yeah, Falcon is 1960s Thunderbird's head. And Hiya Toys is 1950s puppet. Genius, Leon. Absolute genius. I think it would be who could do the worst Falcon head sculpt in that sense, I think.
Yeah, that's going to get really interesting if they try to do that, just because
whoever wins, we lose.
Or will it be right? Or will it be exactly the same? I don't know.
Aliens versus Predator. Whoever wins, we lose. It's it's Hiya versus Hasbro, Falcon. Whoever wins, we lose. Anyway, yeah, so these are just a few more shots here of him. And I just want to get to the one with all the loadout, basically. He's still got his little kind of backpack, kind of, holster. I always get confused. Why do I struggle with holster and sheath all the time? But they've got his shotgun holster backpack scenario. They've got 2 shotguns, the knife and the pistol. And look, yikes, that head sculpt, man. I can't get over how bad the Flint head sculpt is compared to all the other. I mean, the rest of them are okay. Like they're decent, and then this one is just like
they've carried forward the classified scar as well. The scar over the eye that so many characters were having.
There was so many scars. Even Timber had one.
Yeah.
Or 2. Yeah. Big time. This is the loadout. So 2. He's got his kind of like futuristic blaster shotgun, and the kind of Falcon style one, and then obviously the knife, the pistol, alternate hands, the backpack holster, and a Dio stand. So you're not going to be getting this one then, Pat, I assume?
This one would be bumped to the last of the list. I'm still hoping to get some of these Hiya figures in hand to see whether or not I want to continue buying them. I would like to get them for a better price. And I ordered some last week, but they're all pre-orders. So I'm not going to have them for a while.
Yeah.
And it's tough the way that these things have rolled out. Like, I didn't have the opportunity to I did buy one, but then I got refunded. It didn't show up, and then my money was refunded. So
Yeah.
I tried to buy a Snake Eyes a long time ago, but I haven't had the opportunity to really feel what these are like. I have a RoboCop. I'm thinking they're going to be very hard plastic, and I'm not going to be too crazy about them. But yeah, I'm not going to be rushing to buy this one.
Are you going to repaint? Are you going to repaint your RoboCop into Barricade
or RoboJoe?
Or RoboJoe, do that, or paint him like that neon kind of green color so he can be like glow in the dark RoboCop figure.
It actually is the glow in the dark RoboCop.
Oh, brilliant! You don't have to do anything then. It's done. Perfect. Anyway, that is it for Hiya Toys. No doubt we'll be talking about another reveal next week, mate, because it's insane. I didn't even do a graphic of the amount of figures they've done because I did one that took me ages to put together, and then we've had 3 friggin' figures revealed since then. So I'm just like, no, I'll wait till they finish doing everything, and then I'll do another graphic. Mental. So yeah, next week. What do you expect next week? Do you think we're going to get another repaint Hiya Toys figure, or do you think we're a new character?
I think they need to slow it down. I don't know what they're doing.
They're revealing characters like Classified are revealing characters. That's what they're doing. It's nuts. So anyway, that's Hiya Toys. Let us know in the comments. Are you going to be jumping on this figure? Not literally. Are you going to be buying it? Let us know what your thoughts are. And do you think this is, from some of our like mysteries of this one, like, do we think it's a Hiya Toys design? Do we think it's a concept that they've kind of utilized? Let us know what you think in the chat. And hopefully we'll find out at some point, because that's something that I want to know. Right then, next up, we have an absolute crap ton of classified updates.
The classified train keeps on chugging with a ton of interesting reports this week. We had leaks of Big Boa and the 60th Action Soldier infantry figures in packaging, and rumours of upcoming figures including Road Pig, Starduster, Nemesis Enforcer and Heart Wrencher, as well as a Hiss Tank shipping update. Yep, they are on their way as numerous people reported movement on their FedEx apps. Get ready for that beauty to start arriving soon.
Squee. Anyway, lots to get through here with the classified series. Starting with, Pat, a couple of leakies coming out. Big Boa appeared on, I forgot what it's called now, AliExpress. Forgot then for a second. And we get a potato cam image of the packaging. It's not too bad. I've seen worse images, but pretty much there you go. There's Big Boa. What are your thoughts?
It's a little weird to me to have that head on him in the package. I would have almost preferred it to have been the other way. Give him the classic head with the other thing being the alternate. It looks a little bit more natural than the floating human head.
That's what I was going to say. I think they probably looked at it and thought, disembodied head or a helmet. Just
yeah. But
Zartan's card art or
right. Yeah,
that should have been Big Boa's card art. His head behind him just floating. That's what it should have been.
The big thing that I'm waiting on for Big Boa is that his boxing gloves have always looked too small to me, like too thin.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see more pictures of him whenever people start getting him in hand. He's not going to be one of the ones I order right away since I'm cutting back on classified. Big Boa's, it's the boxing gloves that has me hesitant.
Yeah. I like the fact that they're utilizing the little white inner part as well. So you've got almost like a bit of deco applied on the interior of the gloves. And then you've got the Cobra sigil on there as well. So it's nice that they've done a few touches on the gloves as well, not just red with Cobra signs on them.
Yeah, that's going to help with a lot of sense of depth. Like you'll be able to make out exactly where his fists are in photos that people take, and that's a really good move in my opinion.
Yeah,
I just wish that they were a little bit more boxing gloves than they were, padded, almost mitten looking things.
Yeah, like MMA sort of things. But yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I was kind of going back and forth with myself, like talking to myself about this, because I do that a lot, about what I would have preferred: dumbbells or his punching bag on a stick. And I think I would have preferred the punching bag, honestly, because I don't think that would have been too. I mean, if you take the two dumbbells out of it and just do a tooling for the punching bag on a stick, I don't know what I don't know. Or maybe just a punching bag that you can hang up on something with like a little chain thing on the top that you could like hook it on. You know, that would be kind of fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be cool. I'm a little torn myself. So you had an argument with yourself. I'm having that same argument with myself right now. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the classic punching bag on a stick, it was always a little weird.
Yeah,
Like, how often did you see a punching bag on a stick?
Yeah, true. I mean, it was like a kid's punching bag, like a toy one, literally, wasn't it? That you get at Toys R Us. And that's what he was training Cobra troops on. Maybe
one of those bot bags.
Yeah, but yeah.
I had a Darth Vader one and a Skywarp one.
Yeah, and that Oh man, I love those things. I love bop bags; they were great. Also, there would have been like you would have either put sand or water on the base to keep it upright. So when he
I remember one time punching Darth Vader in the sand, just bursting all throughout him.
Yeah,
I felt really strong, but I was sad the toy was broken.
But you bust it, yeah.
But I was really strong.
Yep, yeah, that's why. Amazing. A G.I. Joe bot bag would have been funny, wouldn't it, to come with this figure, actually. Now I'm thinking that would have been even better. A little inflatable one would be so funny. Wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah.
Like that big, just tiny inflatable bot bag would have been brilliant. Anyway, amazing stuff. The dumbbells are cool, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that they've given him, you know, some stuff in there, like some extra stuff. So that's pretty dope. But yeah, like I had my heart set on making Big Boa a deluxe figure, but I understand why they didn't, because you've got to weigh up sometimes what's worth doing as a deluxe figure. And Big Boa didn't need to be deluxe, nor would he probably have sold a lot as a deluxe figure. So I get that. But I don't know. I was just so excited to have, when I was thinking about all the things you could come with, like a weight bench, like a scaffold kind of thing with other, like, you know, things that would like hanging a punching bag from the scaffold that he's on the weight bench kind of thing, like a big one of those like exercise friggin' units. That would be so cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of all the. I mean, a lot of that stuff would be cool, but there are kits actually you can buy for 1/12 scale figures of all that stuff.
Yeah.
So if you really want it, you know, you can buy it and then still buy this figure, and not everybody has to buy that stuff at a deluxe price.
Exactly.
So it's a win.
No, you're totally, and that's why I completely understand why they didn't do it, if you know what I mean. I think I had my heart set on a 6-inch scale, stupid punching bag on a stick. I think I was there. I was like, this is going to be brilliant. And then lo and behold, it didn't transpire. But it makes perfect sense when you say it out loud and when you say how ridiculous that punching stick was.
Yeah, and I'm trying to imagine how they would have had like a suspended punching bag. And even that is just difficult. It's difficult to picture. I think if they did the punching bag and a stick, it should have been a few sticks with, like, you know, faces of G.I. Joes pasted onto the bag.
Yeah, totally. Actually, that would have been really cool. I liked, yeah. I mean, it's really, at the end of the day, it was kind of a silly thing in the original figure to have, but yeah. But the other thing I was thinking was, like, he could have had pugil sticks. He could have had training headgear, like that you could put on another figure and have like sparring sessions and stuff. He could have had multiple different hand attachments. So he could have had MMA gloves, boxing gloves, regular clear hands, but like messed up with like bloody knuckles, wrapped Do you know what I mean? There's so many cool like things that when you talk about like the multiple hands, right? This is a figure that would work with. When you talk about another character that's just, it's effectively you're only going to be using the C grips anyway because they're holding guns or accessories. Very rarely are they going to be pointing in your display or waving or saluting. So like, I feel like a figure like Big Boa would have been great to have multiple different glove options, wrapped hands, and of course, like, you know, just normal hands and bloodied ones. I think that would have been kind of awesome, actually.
Yeah, I don't know if I really need. I don't really go for stuff that looks. I'm good with things that with like wear that looks lived in, but not wear that looks like battle damage. Once you start adding bloody stuff, for me, that gets to be a little bit more in the battle damage territory.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they included the alternate head because there's not really a reason for Big Boa to be a mystery character as far as his face. And I think the only reason
he's got an Arashikage tattoo as well. Have you seen that?
Yeah, the big reveal. You take off his mask and there's just one on his
no,
cheek.
You take the helmet off and he's just his head is an Arashikage symbol somehow from every angle. It's really confusing.
Yeah, I think the only reason why it was like that is you figure back in '87 they weren't including rubbery helmets, I don't think, yet with figures.
Yeah.
And so you really weren't going to be swapping the heads on them at that point either. So Big Boa just ended up as he was because they wanted to have the cool helmet included. Yeah. So
and also how difficult it would be to do a full-on helmet that goes over a head, get it the right proportion and not make the head tiny, or get the head big and not make the helmet look like a giant friggin' beach ball. There's a real balance to that.
Even at 6 inches.
Oh God, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Anyway, next up we have this beauty, the Action Soldier Infantry. Is this buzzing your berries?
I think this is really cool. I've cut back on classified, so again, not going to be one of the first things that I get. But like I think I said last week or the week before, I really like the fact that this gets to be, you know, a military character. And not every figure that is working with the G.I. Joes has to be on the G.I. Joe team. You know, they can work with other people in the military. And that can be fine. And it's a nice callback to its roots of being not character specific. But I kind of was hoping for something that looked a little more like 1964 G.I. Joe. And there's still time for that. They don't have to wait for an anniversary to give that to us. They could just give that to us.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, I think this is. You could argue that this could have been something completely different. Like it could have just been a cool, like troop builder under a different brand. Not, I mean, G.I. Joe still, but like a different sub brand. It didn't have to be 60th anniversary necessarily.
Yeah.
But having said that, I really do like what we've seen so far. And this looks insane. The soft goods look really cool. The backpack, all the different weapons, the different options, the head wraps, the different heads, the different, like the helmet, everything that's going on with this thing is phenomenal. Kind of hints at possibly another roadblock around the corner when you look at the, the kind of the machine gun and the tripod and everything that he comes with. And of course, now we can see clearly that the dog tags are there. But yeah, that Marduce is very, very interesting that they put it in this. And you know what? They've kind of been doing it. They've been dropping these little like Easter eggs within figures, like, you know, like the pre, you know, it's like the, you know, the pre-reveal, I guess. So I think we might possibly have a roadblock to come. Because we haven't had a roadblock for a while. We haven't, genuinely. We got a few early on, but we haven't had one for a while, have we?
Right. They released worthwhile roadblocks, but they were all coming so close together that they weren't spreading out that character enough. Like if you're just getting into the line, you may be missing roadblock and, having to go back and buy him at whatever price he is on the market. I have no idea what price he is right now.
God knows, yeah.
But I think this is the way that you release an army builder, like a troop builder. This is great because you've got multiple options, so not every single one of them has to look the same.
Yep.
And you also have, I mean, for anybody that was upset with like the Nerf accessories, just buy one of these.
There you
One
go.
of these, you fix 3 characters if you like.
Yeah, so true. So true. Yeah, you're right. You can, so many different options. It's brilliant. I can't wait for the recon diver as well, the action sailor. That's going to be fun to see in box as well. And I'm interested on that one even more so because there's so many different chest combinations. Like there's I don't know, there's just so many cool things about it. And that like submersible mini kind of engine sort of submarine he comes with as well. It's kind of really cool. I don't know. There's just so many cool things about the 60th. I'm a big fan of what they're doing. Massive, giant fan. Could call me a windmill. I'm that big of a fan. Right. That is the leaks that we've had. We've also had some, I suppose, action figure upcoming character like leaks as well, thanks to T1 Toys, who dropped some serious hints about these 4, Pat. So we've got Road Pig, Starduster, Nemesis Enforcer, and Heart Wrencher. Did you ever think I would say those 4 names within the same sentence? Ever?
It's a lot of Dreadnought now, so not really. We're definitely getting a lot of Dreadnoughts. I picked up Ripper. I found him at Target this week. I'm pretty happy with him. He's
he looks really cool. Yeah.
So more Dreadnoughts is good news. I am suspecting that Heart Wrencher will probably mostly be Zorana. You know, but they've done such a good job so far with Classified of hiding parts reuse that I'm really curious to see how much of her ends up being new parts.
Yeah, true.
It could just be new hair with a new deco on the face, since the hair was removable.
That's true. Yeah, maybe they could do that. I don't know. Like, I'm also always amazed at when I think, oh, you could just reuse that head, or you could reuse that, and they never do. They just make something new, and you just think, wow, okay, fine.
Yeah, so, and I'm also very curious just about like the shirt and the how much of the body is going to be the same as Zorana, because I am expecting there to be some Zorana reuse there.
Oh god, I would be surprised if there wasn't.
And then for sure Nemesis and Fort. Well, I guess we'll get to it when we get to those.
We've done that one. We've gone backwards. Pat's gone backwards on this one. He started at Heart Wrencher. Now he's on to Nemesis Enforcer.
Here, so
now he's on to Nemesis. Let's talk Nemesis Enforcer from Cobra La.
Okay.
Insanity.
I think he's going to have to be a deluxe.
Oh, minimum. God,
yeah.
We have a few listings that kind of like are floating around that are deluxes that might be Nemesis Enforcer, might be one of them. So it'd be quite interesting to figure out who that is eventually. But yeah, I think I would probably agree with you on that one. This guy's got to be big. He's going to have to be either the same height as Serpentor or bigger. So it would probably be a new body because the Serpentor body is too unique to, like, you can't repaint it into Nemesis Enforcer. So that it's going to be a new figure, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's going to have to be big. And I'm curious to see if they go. I really liked what the 25th did with the 2 sets of wings, where they gave them teeny tiny little faces so that whenever they weren't using them as wings, it was like an animal companion. Because it makes a lot of sense for the way that the story was for Cobra La, for those to be, living animals and clothing.
Absolutely. I think the wings are going to be massive, though, aren't they? I've got a feeling we're going to.
Yeah.
And would you think like some sort of like articulated wing, or would you think they're going to do 2 different sets of wings, like a big open, strong molded wing, and then like a closed kind of wing?
No,
situation?
I mean, I don't think that's going to. I mean, I guess you could, because he has kind of a nice silhouette in both modes, in both ways. but there's just part of me that makes me think that it's probably just going to be an articulated wing. But I don't think they're going to go with cloth in between, because they could do that too. Like you could have the skin in between the bones be like something that kind of stretches
the wing flesh.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of different things you could do. It's a brave one to attack, in my opinion.
Also, does it open the door for Pythona, Royal Guard, Globulus, etc., etc.? Because I kind of hope it does, really.
Yeah, the door's open now, for sure.
The wings have opened for, because Pythona, man, that could be another absolutely outstanding figure. Like she's the best 4-inch modern G.I. Joe figure, I think. Like I love that figure.
I do too. There's something about Pythona though that feels a little bit special. Like, could she be a San Diego?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Like, could she be a convention figure?
And well, that's a good one, because there's been no leak or there's been no word on what the exclusives are for next year. And usually they're floating around at some point, soon. So it's interesting that if they've got this, if Nemesis Enforcer is like sooner rather than later, which it seems like that is the case. Are they going to do a couple of other releases around that time, like you say, that would have almost like put the team together a little bit?
Yeah. Speaking of floating around, would we be able to get maybe like a Globulus with that big ball / chariot thing that he uses?
His floating ball chariot.
I could definitely see that being like a figure with vehicle kind of thing.
Yeah, that like figure and vehicle. Pythona would be an exclusive. Royal Guard could be like a Troop Builder 2-pack or something, couldn't it? Do you know what I mean? And then a deluxe Nemesis Enforcer, and the gang's all here, sort of thing.
Yeah, but just go ahead and give us some of those other citizens of Cobra Law. I'd be okay with that. Cobra Law. I always feel the need to like clarify, because people are like, well, you can't love Cobra Law if you love the original Marvel comic. To me, it's like almost two separate things.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I do love Cobra Law.
I don't know why anyone would say that. I'm definitely not in that camp. Like, I love the comic. I love reading it again. I love going over it and reading the special missions. Special missions are some of my favorite comics. And then like, I absolutely adore the movie. Like, adore it. Like, there's I don't know. It's just, I suppose, when it hits you at a certain age, and that was your kind of childhood, I don't know. I don't see the point of the separating into gangs sort of thing. But then again, I know that what was I going to say? I know that there are people that are going to like one thing and not like another thing. I totally get that. But yeah, I'm personally not that way in at all. Not that way inclined. Angela has said, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but the list of G.I. Joe classified figures that Nemesis Enforcer was in was actually a wish list. Yes, Angela, I'm sure that is the case, but why are we reporting on it, do you think? Just saying. But we'll see, I guess. We'll see in the future as to whether these come true or not. But yeah, you might have to read between the lines sometimes as to why we might be reporting on this particular news. Pat, next up then, do you remember who it would be?
It's still backing up. It's going to be Starduster.
Hey.
I started off backwards. Sorry about that.
Oh, actually, before we move on to Starduster, this is something I'm interested in, the spikes.
I was going to ask that, but I was like, no, he's moving on.
No, so you can stop me from moving on. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, could they make them retract? Because it'd be kind of cool if they went in a little bit.
It would be cool. I just don't know how they do it right. Like, I really, and there would be some really specific engineering on that, right? So I would suggest that you're probably more likely going to have a short one that's kind of retracted, that's fixed, and then you kind of take maybe it's on the glove hand and that comes off, and then you put the other glove hand on with the longer one, and you've
Okay.
got a longer one. That's what I would. I don't know. That's what I would expect with something like that.
Okay. They could even just be like a channel in his arm that you'd fit different sized ones in.
Oh, that would be so dope, man.
Yeah.
That would be so cool, honestly. Anyway,
I
yeah.
could see him doing it several different ways, but yes, that's one of the features of him that's kind of small in the original figure that I want to see highlighted on the new one.
Yeah,
Since it was
definitely.
featured so heavily in the show.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's like if they could get it to retract, I'd be all for it. I don't know. It's like one of those things where it's the more fancy things you add onto a car, the more things can go wrong. And I just,
No, that's true.
I just feel like it would be an absolute, I don't know, like yeah, it would just be asking for trouble. Anyway, that's awesome. That's Nemesis Enforcer. Starduster. Now this is an interesting one. I obviously would love to see some sort of homage to the serial with something like this, but I don't think it. Well, maybe in packaging, but maybe a little box of cereal. What would you like?
Okay. Well, I think we've talked about that before, and yeah, I would love to see Starduster coming out of a box of cereal. Like, I would love if that had been included. And if we were still in the era of windowless packaging, I think that trying to get it as close to just the Action Stars box as possible would have been ideal.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you would make him flying over a desert or a city or something that would look like cereal almost below.
I love that idea. Yeah. Just it would be like a field or something that's just like in that corner curved, and the field's got corn in it. Yeah,
fields of the grains that are going to become cereal.
Yeah, there you go. Sorted. That's hilarious. Actually, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because they're going to have to. I was thinking of them just doing something ridiculous, like redoing the cereal box kind of like slip cover or something. But they could do that if it was an exclusive, possibly if it was like a con exclusive or something. But I don't know. I think this figure, specifically the figure, is probably a very easy build as well, isn't it? I think we've got all the parts for this apart from maybe a head.
Yeah, that's true. And that won't be much at all for them to tool up. I think we talked about that when we talked about Starduster in one of the monthlies, that all the parts are just kind of available. So why not just do it?
Yeah.
I would like to see some sort of callback to the cereal. And I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that and make it fun.
Somebody, I think it was Paul Panthalone on the last burst I did about this, said that he was commenting and he said that he would love it if he came with some sort of like helicopter pad that also the Dragonfly could use. So like you're going to kind of get like a deluxe figure. He's got his jump backpack and he could use the pad, but then also the pad could be utilized for the Dragonfly. That to me sounds amazing.
Yeah, and you could do that because of the fact that you probably could make the pad sectioned off so that you'd build it. Like if it was just like 4 plates that you snap together. Yeah, you could do that. That'd be possible. I'd also like to see, if you'll recall, Action Stars had the buildable accessories on the side that were like the MacGuffin device of the story that you were given.
Yeah.
That on that box. Maybe including one of those. Like pick one of them and include them with him.
That'd be fun, man.
It'd be fun.
That would be a lot of fun. I don't know. The cereal always makes me really happy to see. I don't know why. Like I don't eat any of it anymore, but like when I see it in stores, I get all like fuzzy nostalgia kind of things hitting me, and like seeing like just the thought of it makes me really happy that this could be done.
I feel a little silly because one of the things I was trying to imagine was something similar to whenever Snow Job in the 25th had Pocket Patrol on the side of him. And like thinking to myself, well, could you do that with cereal? Like, would he have a box of cereal inside? No, it just needs to be Pocket Patrol. Since he came with that later, just include Pocket Patrol on him.
We need to get that Pocket Patrol. I'm still upset that it didn't come on that Snow Job figure. Yeah. That Snow Job figure, which is phenomenal, by the way, and has so many cool things. And I'm sitting there going, why is there no Pocket Patrol on him? It's really sucks.
Maybe they were holding out because they knew that they were doing Starduster, and it makes more sense to be on Starduster.
That is actually quite true. Yeah. Anyway, that's Starduster, and then finally, Road Pig. Even though we've gone the complete other direction there, what are your thoughts on Road Pig, Pat? Pretty obvious, really. This to me is like a long time in coming, really.
Yeah, he's one of the more interesting Dreadnoks to me. I always liked the figure a lot. He definitely is probably the one that is the most direct reference to Mad Max.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, and Furiosa there was just a trailer for Furiosa, so that's kind of good timing. I wonder how close you'll have a not Mad Max item on the shelves around the time that Furiosa is out.
Yeah, he's definitely got that. He's definitely got Mad Max vibes, and I think it's the kind of like topless, but then has random armor on top of it. It reminds me very much, actually, of I forget the guy's name in Mad Max. He was Bennett. He was Bennett in Commando.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Let off some steam, Bennett. And then he throws the pipe at him, and it's I'm going to shoot you in the balls, John. That one, that guy. Sorry, I don't know why I'm doing quotes from Commando, but that's very dangerous. Actually, I shouldn't be doing that. But then he was in Mad Max as I forget his name. Someone will probably say it in the comments. But anyway, I think that vibe reminds me because he had like kind of big shoulder pads and like armor and stuff, but like had a bit of skin showing. Anyway, that's Road Pig. And again, for me, this one, I think this is like an amazing figure that I think is going to be incredible. They've got to give him the cement block on a stick.
Oh yeah, he needs to have that for sure. It's already such an amazing figure that I can't imagine how it wouldn't translate well. The only danger is he did have a lot of accessories as a vintage figure that hopefully all of those end up inside the package with a classified, because I could see some of those being costed out as they were with the 25th. He didn't include the crossbow.
Yeah, I'd love to see the crossbow classified.
30th or whatever by that time. But
yeah, I'd be really up for the crossbow in classified, and that kind of random friggin' washboard shield he comes with. That too, please. Yeah, all that good stuff. 100%. Would you be up for him having that road sign again? Alligator Alley, wasn't it?
I did like that. Yeah, that
was kind of cool. Fun. Yeah.
What is that supposed to be, that washboard? Is that like a hockey pad that he's using on his arm instead? What is that?
I don't think I've ever worked it out. I just assumed it was a shield, but never thought what it was like referencing, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But yeah, like he's got what is the pads? He's got American football pads, hasn't he, on top?
He does, yeah.
So they're American football, like over the shoulders and stuff. Oh, it's a hockey blocker, says John. Thanks, John. Hey, John. John Cremine's in the house. Yes, hockey blocker. Sounds like you're calling us names. So yes, hockey blocker. But yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. Sorry, I was just seeing what someone said, like they look like tire tread, but yeah, no, it's a hockey blocker. Thank you, John. All right then. Next up, I think
Next up, you've got to scroll past me because I did everything out of order. Sorry about that.
There's Heart Wrencher, by the way. I could see them doing like the torso and arms of Zorana. And then different legs, and then a new head sculpt. I could see that working for Heart Wrencher.
I could see it working. I just kind of think that when you have that same shirt in a different color with a different deco on it, it doesn't necessarily make her look as unique as she needs to be. I would like to see them go, closer to her comic book appearance. I think would be more fun.
Yeah, coolsies. Next up, then, the His Tank is coming. Well, I say that. I got a message from someone just before we went on saying, I just got a delayed shipping thing from Hasbro, saying they've pushed their shipment to the 15th of December. So check check your emails is what I would say on that one. I'm going to check mine now. I did check mine at the time and I didn't have anything. So I don't know. Maybe we're going to get some shipping notifications very soon. But I think it's going to be the case that some people are going to get delays just because of the amount of orders they're going to have to get through. So yeah, that's going to happen. A few other people are saying they got the delay as well. The delay email, I should say. Just looking. I know this doesn't make for good. This doesn't make for good podcasting.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to look myself to see what all if I have anything. To be honest, I haven't seen anything about shipping of it.
Yeah, the what people are basically sending and kind of showing around was that they've got the FedEx app, and basically there'll be updates when certain things are kind of starting to get processed and starting to get start moving. And a lot of people were getting notifications from their FedEx app. So not necessarily shipping notifications from Hasbro yet, but some people then were saying they had shipping notifications from, sorry, not shipping notifications, delay notifications via email from Hasbro. So yeah, just keep an eye on your emails. I expect either everyone will be in the same boat, or some people are going to get them first, and then some are going to get delayed, and so on and so forth. But we'll see. I guess we'll see how it pans out. There's no, I don't see why they wouldn't. Well, they might be holding on for another shipment. That's possible, so that they all go out at the same time or the similar time. Like they're probably mass labeling is what's happening at the moment. Yeah. So they're probably getting everything prepared, everything mass labeled, and then it's all going to go out. But who knows? Who knows? But yeah, 15th of December is when it's likely that's going to go out for some people at least. Okay. Are you excited, Pat? Are you terrified? What are your thoughts?
I think that I'm so busy lately that if it arrives now, it's just going to sit in a box for a little bit, and I won't have time to touch it for a while.
Luke says the December 15th delay is for the Hiss Fire Team 3-pack, not the HasLab. No, I get what you're saying, Luke. There is a delay for the Fire Team, but I was sent a specific message saying that the HasLab Hiss tank had been delayed to the 15th. So it's probably both. It wouldn't be surprising if they're on the same, that's when it's going to go out. So yeah, So I've definitely had people messaging me saying saying that it's the HasLab situation. But okay, but yeah, anyway, keep that in mind anyway, because I had a number of messages about that. But also, FedEx are labeling these things, so it's likely that some of you might get them soon, and some of you might get them delayed. But there we go. Right then, that is everything I think from Classified. Now, Pat, we got onto probably the news you've been dying to talk about this entire episode. Are you ready?
Yeah, that I was panicked that I wasn't going to be on today.
Got here just in time. Well, I'm surprised you didn't wait until I'd finished talking about Classified, and then turn up and be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I completely missed. I'm so sorry. You've been chatting in the comments the whole time, Pat. What are you talking about? Okay, here we go. It's Super 7 news.
The week has to belong to Super 7. Not only did we get the Deke Baroness Target exclusive reaction figure officially revealed, but Brian Flynn appeared on Pixel Dan's channel to reveal a ton of new G.I. Joe news, including the fact that Super 7 have officially got the license to produce O-ring figures. They'll start the line in fall of 2024 with a character focus on Sunbow, Deke and the comics. They also revealed that they would be adding the Cobra Viper Gunner Commander figures to the base offering to help incentivize the campaign, which has been stuck in place for a little while now. We will be speaking with Brian on Monday about all of this as well, so you can look forward to that.
Yeah, you can look forward to that. Pat, so we've got a couple of things to get through before we get to the O-ring thing, so I'm just going to stop you before you go ahead and start talking about the Viper Gunner reaction figure or whatever. Let's talk Baroness first, because we got the official images of the Baroness Target exclusive. Now I know we kind of had the reveal of this way in advance because it was leaked. The image was leaked. But here we are with proper images of the figure. And there you go. There she is in all her glory. You've got her, right?
I didn't end up picking her up. I did see
Oh.
her, though. I found her at Target this week.
Nice. Because we were talking about the card, weren't we, on this one? And how
Yeah.
there's... I think my theory here is that they... to kind of like, rather than do some like, you know, brand new changes to the card art, which would have required like Jason Edmiston to kind of redo this particular card art, because there's a random different rifle here that we're dealing with. We've got an Annihilator's rifle in with the figure, and we've got her previous release figure rifle on the card art. So like, I feel like it was just a case of we'll redeco it, and then the same thing for the back, we'll just redeco the Sunbow Baroness image. Interesting though that they didn't just stick a deke on there. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. I know what you're implying too.
You can move the implication of my silly comment away, but
Okay.
yeah.
No, I was kind of surprised. That was actually the first thing that I noticed. And then you were like, "Hey, yeah," and the front doesn't have the accessory. And to be honest, in a lot of ways, I've just kind of gotten used to redecos of things, reusing card art, and not replacing accessories. But you did remind me that actually Super 7 has done that several times, where they change out the accessories, it gets brand new card art.
Yeah.
So that's a little odd that they didn't go that way this time, but you know, it's fine. I was surprised though about the back though still, because that would just be a matter of grabbing the DVDs, taking a still photo, and putting it back there, I think, but maybe not, because the pictures on the back there of their cards do look like they're cleaned up a little bit.
Oh, definitely.
From the original appearance in the show. It's not just a screen grab. So maybe they just didn't have the budget or time for this one.
It's possible on that one. I was kind of thinking maybe they're just trying to save some money in the and just basically do a quick redeco. Anyway, that's the Baroness, available on Target.com, of course, and of course in store now, as proved by Pat, who went in and found one the other day. Now, that aside, Pat, some pretty big news coming out of Pixel Dan's YouTube channel here. Super 7 O-ring. Now, have you seen the interview by chance?
I have, yes. Actually, yesterday I was really happy to see the way that Super 7's news was being received.
Yeah.
Like if I just went onto my own Facebook, it was like, okay, whatever story or post by somebody, and then a person saying about the O-rings, another random post, and then two more from different people about the O-rings. It kept on being like O-ring, 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 all over my Facebook.
What are we going to say then? O-ring, 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 all over my Facebook. Brilliant. Can we get that on a t-shirt? That we need to start doing merch, don't we?
Yeah, I don't know if I want that to be my quote.
It's going to be Pat's face covered in O-rings. Brilliant. Anyway, yeah, no, really cool. Let's get a couple of things out of the way. Let's get some bullet points out of the way here, first and foremost. A couple of questions in the comments I've noticed. I'm just going to quickly run through those. In terms of the build of the O-ring figures, the figures shown, the O-ring figures shown at SDCC that we've seen images of, etc., is not a final production piece. It is effectively a quick mock-up. Is effectively what we're dealing with here. There is going to be bicep swivel. There is going to be all the articulation you expect. There are going to be rivets. There are going to be all the things that you expect on an O-ring are going to be there. Brian has explained this as well on the interview I did with him a while back. We're speaking with Brian on Monday. Hopefully that will go out maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on how fast I can edit it. But just to kind of give you a heads up there, you know, that it's effectively it's a resin mold, Jim. Yes, true. I think that's right. Yeah, there is a swivel. There will be swivel. Everything's going to be there that you want to be there. Don't worry, it's going to be there. So yeah, so that's that. The other thing I want to mention is that according to Brian in the interview, he said that they are trying to get these O-ring figures at the same retail price as the reaction figures. So that's their aim, is to get them in that ballpark of reaction. They didn't go in, like, they didn't say a number, but that's what they're saying. They're saying the same as retail reaction pricing, basically. If that is the case, Pat, that's a pretty significant move, right?
I think so. I think that we were all anticipating that whenever we would discuss privately, because we kept on hoping, and maybe we did say it on the show, I don't really remember, that at some point it would have been nice for them to have, gotten the ability to make the O-rings.
Yeah.
I think that we all kind of assumed that they'd be another $5 on top of whatever price the reaction figures were at the time, which reaction has crept up, because I think that early on, weren't they only like 18 and now they're 20? They've gone up a little bit.
Yeah.
And even Baroness, like all the new figures showing up to Target are $20.49, while they're still $20 even on Super 7's website. So yeah, I kind of still, I mean, he says that, but he did say to Pixel Dan that they want to triple check first.
Yeah.
The thing that I also kind of have to keep in mind is that he's talking about these coming out later next year. And the truth is, in 1 year, we've seen an increase in the price of reaction figures. In another year, I would expect there to be probably another increase in price, the way the economy is going. So,
true.
No, I don't expect these to be $20, but 22 probably.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm totally. Yeah, totally. I get what you're saying, and that's why I said ballpark beforehand. By the way,
you did.
I was cliff noting it, and you're getting into more detail. You what, mate?
I'm being long-winded.
Yeah, I cliff notes. I do the cliff notes, and Pat fills it in with the actual cut. Like, he colors it. I draw it, and then you color it in. Right? That's how it works.
Okay. Or I just ramble too long.
We both talk for each other's country, like each other's respective countries. We could be in the Olympics for talking, genuinely. And this would have been a battle. This would have been UK versus USA. Amazing. Anyway, yeah, Super 7, O-ring, brilliant stuff. So yeah, they're the main bullet points from the interview, effectively. Fall 2024. O-ring is you kind of as close as an approximation as Super 7 can get. And then also, and of course, the pricing was the other point there. Now, the other big point here, Pat, was the specificity of character choice is going to be focused on Sunbow, Deke, and the comics. That, for me, is kind of like really cool, because there's going to be a lot of things in there that we haven't seen before in O-ring, and that's got to excite the crap out of you.
It does, but I do also have a little bit of that feeling of the person who's been promised this a million times and has not actually received it. You know what I mean? Like, I've been waiting for a continuation of the vintage line and figures that fit in with it ever since that first 1997 Toys R Us set, where you get the figures, you pull them out, and you're like, well, the colors, the plastic quality isn't quite right.
See-through, basically, wasn't it?
It was.
Why are they all shadow ninjas?
Right. Well, they broke like shadow ninjas. Yeah. And and then the flesh tones didn't quite match the way that the approach was to flesh tones on the vintage figures. And then you got into like the 2002 era, and there were improvements. I actually, personally, I did actually like the way that the hands were a little more rubbery in the 2000s. But then they started doing things like more swirled plastic and the tampographies on the side of the arms, which they never were there on the vintage line. It's right. It's my nitpick helmet is on from Mask. There's so many things that just did not match. And for me, like I don't think that most people are picking up those figures and going, oh, I don't care for the fact that this Pantone color didn't exist in the vintage line. Nobody's doing that. But I think that just your gut feeling, when you look at it, you can tell a 2000s era O-ring figure from a vintage O-ring figure.
Oh, from a mile away.
Right. And certainly all of us, we can all tell like a Leonard the Core figure from a vintage G.I. Joe figure. And why is that? Well, I think that we all can't you?
Sometimes.
Really?
No, yeah, definitely. Especially when they've got roller skates on.
Well, yeah. Plus, like the torso always had like that triangular look to it, as far as the broadness of the shoulders and how flat they were.
There were so many differences, even like the down to proportions of body and heads and how they kind of,
So there's the danger there of, they kind of, in my opinion, need to stick to those parameters of the vintage line in order to have it feel like a vintage G.I. Joe figure rather than to just feel like any O-ring figure.
How about that comment there, Pat? Answer Ryan Costello that right there.
He's entirely right. You are right. You're able to tell the difference between an 82 and an 85, but those are still all within the family of G.I. Joe. And I would even expand upon that and say that if you're going to do a character like Quinn, you shouldn't have him have the full range of head motion like he would in 1985. You target like that 1983 look for a figure. Whereas if you had something like Metalhead's grandmother, then you go ahead and go all out and give her the torso that's a little bit bulkier, make her look like a 90s figure. And it's going to be difficult to dial all of that stuff in. And to be honest, from what I've seen so far, I don't think that's what Super 7 is going to be doing. Right. I really think that the announcement of Deke and then seeing the Deke Baroness show up and then seeing what they've shown from the mothership, it's probably going to be an adaptation of the reaction figures, and we'll get what we get.
Yeah. Mark says it will be interesting to see how different it will be to vintage aesthetic. From speaking to Brian as well, he said that he is trying his utmost to make it like, as close as absolutely possible. Like that's what they're aiming for. And again, like I wouldn't take the O-ring figure we've seen already until I wouldn't take that as gospel until we've seen an actual production figure. And I think we'll see those like before fall 2024. I think we'll see like figures in development and things like that, and they'll probably do like events where they'll show them off, do the pre-orders and all that kind of jazz. So like I feel like we'll see it before fall 2024, not like months and months before, but like certainly prior to fall, getting them in hand. So I think we'll have a better idea of what the deal is then. But I got to say I'm kind of excited to see. And the funny thing is, I'll come back to this as well, Pat. They're talking about focusing on the cartoons, the animation, and the comics, right? But what's interesting with that is that it's not like they were making different figures back then when there was a cartoon on. It's like, yes, there were some differences, but they were the same design. Like it wasn't like Snake Eyes was like a million times different than his version 2 figure. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
There was some simplification, of course, for the animation model.
Correct. Yeah, you had like the interpretation that's it's that toy through the lens of this style of animation.
Right.
And I think that's one of the areas that they probably have no intention of going into as far as the figures go. And personally, it's what I want. I want figures that look like they belong with the vintage figures. Yeah. That's why I'm saying that, I'm kind of hopeful, but at the same time, I'm not anticipating that they're going to be delivering for me what I personally want. Because if you did a figure like animated General Flag, well, he wouldn't look exactly like the cartoon character in figure form. He would look a little bit, backed off and a little more toy-like.
Yeah.
But then will people immediately recognize it as that cartoon character now? I don't know. It's like comparing the reaction Duke figure to the vintage Duke figure. Yeah, the reaction one does look more like the cartoon because that's what it's intended for.
Yeah.
I don't know. And even going back to what Ryan said about the various years of G.I. Joe, they all were built on not on the same buck, but an adaptation of that buck. There was definitely a progression and change to the same buck with the intention of making parts swappable. But Brian Flynn did say that they wanted to make it so that you could swap parts, right?
Yeah.
So who knows what they're going to go with. They're going to have to go with some sort of standardized buck for these if you're going to swap parts and have them make any kind of sense.
Right. I mean, again, I don't know like how that's going to happen I think there's a lot of waiting and seeing on this one.
Sure.
Ryan has asked, what would fully articulated Metalhead's grandmother's spring-loaded weapon be?
I'd have to rewatch the episodes. Did she?
I think
bring any baked items.
Yeah, like some sort of pie launcher.
Right. Yeah. And see, that's the kind of goofiness that Super 7's willing to get into.
Yeah.
That I do kind of would not want to have lost. Like, I do want that stuff from Super 7.
Yeah. Adam, I think it's pronounced Zorana. So if you could just do that next time you type that out. Thanks. Brilliant.
And I would love a deep painted Zorana as well, but I would like her to be the vintage style sculpt painted in deep colors rather than look straight out of the animated cartoon.
I mean, I think there's a weird, like what I was getting at before was that even though they're saying we're going to focus on like cartoon animation and stuff, it's not like they weren't focused. It's not like you weren't getting figures for the cartoon back then, right? Is what I was getting at. So like what I mean is in this sense, you're restricted because you can't make an O-ring figure look like an animation model.
No.
Like you can't. You can maybe do a more softer, smoother, animated looking head sculpt. But as we know, animation is a 2D medium, like the ones that we're talking about. Obviously not the 3D medium ones, but like the 2D animation thing, it's like it's really difficult to get. Like they've done it, they've tried it before with Ultimates. So you turn a figure to its side. Does that look like what Roadblock looks like from the side on the animation? Maybe, but probably not, because you're focusing on what the front looks like, and that dictates what the sides look like, unfortunately. So in the 3D world, so there's this kind of like this thing where they're going to be restricted with what they can do because they're in O-ring territory anyway. So effectively, you're probably going to get Zorana decode, I'll call it, because it'll be a deep deco on that original style figure.
That would be great. I mean, because the assets exist for them to, they could just buy a vintage Zorana figure, scan it in, and reproduce those parts. And that is what would make me personally happy. I don't necessarily, although I do like the new Zorana figure too. So
Zorana, I'll say it for you because you can't say it properly. It's got a different pronunciation. It's weird. Mark has said, this is a good point, Mark. And I think, obviously, this is one of those things where I'm not sure if we can even ask the question to Brian. Like, I'm not sure if that's one of those things they want to talk about necessarily. But it's very likely to me that probably reaction probably won't continue after, or won't continue in the way it's been continuing after O-ring comes out in the fall of 2024. What do you think about that, Pat?
I think it's going to be difficult for them to go forward with it because anything that they release, there's going to be hopefully some momentum to the O-ring stuff that it'd be difficult for people to really still want that reaction. That said, it's still true what we've said many times on here, that reaction is its own massive toy line. Like it's not just G.I. Joe, it's tons of different brands. And I think that there are a lot of people who specifically like reaction, but maybe at this point, the people who are reaction collectors have already grabbed the G.I. Joe characters for their collection that they want, because you've hit upon those core characters. We're past the core character hump. It may be time to move on, and moving on means going into O-Ring. The other thing that we haven't really touched upon is, if this is a success, boy, would I love it to see Super 7 dip into some of those other brands with some O-Ring. Like, I could go for an O-Ring gem. That'd be sweet.
Oh, mate.
You know?
Yeah, like spread out the O-Ring going across different brands and stuff would be wicked. Yeah. That'd be really cool, actually. Yeah.
It's a point of frustration to me that all the retro stuff that's ever been out has been like retro and inspired by Star Wars. Give us some more O-Ring in some of those other brands.
Definitely. Adam says, how do I spell that, Chris? Serrana. There you go. Perfect. Perfect.
Darren Marshall's comment just made me go, oh, come on.
That one.
Oh, past the pierogi said it earlier. Past the pierogi said it earlier. Mask O-Ring. Yeah, come on. Give us mask O-Ring. That would be amazing. I would love that.
That would be so good. And it would make sense vehicle size wise.
It would, yeah. Like those would be perfectly compatible with things.
Yeah.
And it's brands that I want together, even if they only ever get to the core characters. But I would love all of them.
Mate.
Yeah, come on.
If G.I. Joe O-Ring is successful, then I imagine we would see things like that. If it is doing the same that Reaction did, or it's doing just a bit better than Reaction did, I'm not saying it wouldn't continue, because Super 7 clearly, they love the brand. They want to produce stuff. They produce stuff all the time, whether it's like successful or not. Do you know what I mean? Like they want this, they want to do it. So I could see them if the O-Ring Joes take off, I think we would get O-Ring all sorts, and I think it would be really, really cool. I'd be well into that. Yeah. Also, I know also when they say like focus on like cartoon, Deke, Sunbow, comics, etc. Also, while I'm thinking about it, because I forgot about this earlier, Pixel Dan did ask Brian if Ninja Force would be, like as in Ninja Commandos and stuff like that, would be possible after the, would they do things that like unreleased stuff and things like in the Ninja Force realm, and Brian was open to that. So again, this is one of those things where I don't think anything's off the table. I think they're just they're kicking off with these things so that it's probably different than hitting the core character hump, I'm going to say, Pat, because I don't think they're going to come out the blocks with Duke, Cobra Commander, Scarlet, Snake Eyes, Roadblock. I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think that's going to be the first wave.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. But I would love to see, there's just so much stuff I want. Like, see, this is why I can't allow myself to dream. I just can't. Because you just also caused me to imagine that O-Ring version of Ninja Force Snake Eyes. And I want that. I want that as a figure without the action feature of the Yeah. There's so much stuff. Like, just bring it on. At $20 a figure it was actually what I wanted, I don't need to collect anything else other than this. This is it.
Mate, we're finally going to get an O-Ring Pythona. It's going to happen. I know it's going to happen.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me and then not give it to me.
Mate, I'll give it to you. I'm giving it to you right now. We're getting an O-Ring Pythona. It's happening.
It's not going to happen because
I'm giving it to you.
I can't let myself be let down again.
Mate, O-Rings all over your Facebook. That's what's happening right now. Amazing. So that's the O-Ring scenario, which we're all obviously losing our minds over constantly when we talk about this stuff. The other thing I want to mention before we go is that the Cobra mothership is kind of still stuck in that, it can't just get out of that area, can it? It's struggling. But they are putting, as an incentive, they are dropping the Tier 3 Viper Gunner O-Ring and the Viper Gunner Reaction figure. They are dropping them into the base offering. So those are going to be now, that's the base offering that you're looking at right now on screen, including the Trouble Bubble missiles, which were a mistake. And Brian did admit to that, which is hilarious. So the trouble bomber missiles we'll get, and we probably won't get the trouble bubbles. That would be the worst, man. We'd have to get them after the fact, definitely. Anyway, before we go, Pat, do you think that is enough of an incentive to get this moving again?
It's currently sitting at 1455. I don't really see it happening. It is unfortunate. I do think that starting all this stuff off with such a big bang would have been amazing. But I don't know. I mean,
I can't see it.
I can't see it either.
A lot of people saying Hector Ramirez as well for O-Ring. That's a great idea, isn't it?
Yes. See, that's what I've been waiting on. Like stuff like that.
Mate, first wave is going to be Hector Ramirez, Quinn, but done in 83 style, Pythona.
Don't do it. Don't make me hope.
Matt Tracker and... oh, and they'll do an O-Ring Starcom figure as well. Have I ruined your day? I've ruined your day today, haven't I?
Yeah. Just the rest of my expectations of life.
I'm looking at I was looking at that anyway, Darren. Sorry, Darren's messaged me in the thing.
Yeah, the Viper is coming. Darren Marshall says the Viper, and we know that he doesn't mean Viper. We know that he means the Viper.
The window Viper.
Yeah, the window Viper, yes.
The window Viper. Amazing. Right, that brings us to the end of the news. Dude, let's get into a bit of shout-outs, and then we'll call it a day. Here we go.
Have you tried Hoarder yet? No? Well, you need to. If you have a collection of things and want to create a fun and easy way of organising it and of course showing it off, then get involved. You can post items and build collections, and you can drop a status like getting a fun delivery or seeing some awesome related stuff on your travels. Build your collections with Hoarder. The app is free to download on Google Play and the App Store, so what are you waiting for? Get to hoarding.
All right then, shout outs. Pat, take it away, my good man.
Of course, I'm going to assume that you put in here shout out to Philip.
I have.
Yes, we posted a new episode of Articulated Points. Oh, you put it in. Awesome. Of Articulated Points this week. It's a little bit of stepping out from our normal topics. I kind of assumed that there are enough of us who were just geeked out about various things that this would be appropriate for an episode of Articulated Points. You know, normally we're toys with some theme park stuff in there as well from Philip.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was Back to the Future at a theme park, so that's a little bit of a stretch. And there are Back to the Future toys. This is kind of like a big boy's toy. But if you haven't seen it, that is my brother there in the background with the DeLorean time machine that he has recreated. He also was part of the team that restored the car from the movie.
Wow.
Not to give away too much of the episode. But if you've ever looked at the time machine DeLorean and wondered what the tiny little pieces or details are, it was our intention to show all of that in a video.
It's amazing. Go check it out, guys. Yeah, it's an absolute beauty. And again, like Pat kept this one quiet as well, and then all of a sudden it just gets like posted, and I'm just like, dude. Well, I know we've talked in the past about your brother and his work on this thing, but like, and I always found it funny that story you told me about coming home that time, and there was a flux capacitor on the table just being like tinkered with, sort of thing.
Yeah, it was more than a flux capacitor, but yeah, and. Yes, I did say he's my brother. Yes, I did mention that in the video. And actually, shout out to Mark Seddon, who just asked about that. He recommended that I use Audacity to fix up the sound. I really should have just included here for you this week a sample of the sound prior to me cleaning it and after. Like this, I wanted this to be done, because clearly you can tell just by the greenery around us that this wasn't done recently. We filmed this a few months ago, and it took me that long to get it edited. And part of the problem was just, man, there was no crying baby, but I think all of the other things, and no one-man band, those didn't happen. But all of the other noises that could have happened, like You know, there was a ducks that flew over, a train that went by a couple of times.
Ducks driving a train. It was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. Just a cacophony of sound that I had to remove before you could hear us talk.
Amazing. Well, go check it out. It's on the channel. It's on the Articulated Points YouTube channel. Link in the description, of course. It's a beauty. And go check it out, because Pat put a lot of work into this bad boy.
I did.
It's beautiful. It's awesome.
Thank
also,
you.
O-ring Marty McFly, O-ring Doc, O-ring DeLorean. Have I ruined your day again?
Give me O-ring Marty McFly. Yeah, I would take that.
That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, let's continuing. Shout out to my lovely wife Kate, who celebrated her birthday on the 29th. And of course, I celebrated mine on the 27th. It was like a double birthday header.
Wow. Yeah, happy birthday. Happy belated birthday to Kate. We all had November birthdays. It's crazy how many November birthdays there are.
It's nuts. Our entire family seemed to be in November. It's ridiculous. Anyway, obviously we celebrated by buying a house. So that was a decision. Anyway, happy birthday to my wonderful wife, and of course, shout out to Phoebes and the rest of the family, UK and US based. Love you all. Also, massive shout out to Brian Sauer for our amazing graphics. We're gonna have to got to work on the winter graphics next, Brian. We've got to get those sorted out, and the Christmas special and the New Year's special. Oh, so much coming. It's going to be ridiculous. O-ring Ghostbusters says Talking Joe says.
Yes.
O-ring A-Team says Mark as well.
Oh, that would be perfect. O-ring
all of them would be great. A-Team have been O-rings more or less.
They have been. Yes, they have been.
I love those figures. I remember getting that set as a prize at my school once when I was a kid, like infant school, I want to say. And it was like in that big box, like that kind of and I loved it. It was amazing. I had so much fun with those figures. Anyway, side note. Shout out to Brian, of course. Also shout out to Kickley for, again, some absolute beauties. This Havoc one was one of my favorites. Not just for the fact that it's the Havoc and it's pretty cool, but the fact he used Claymore as a character in this particular one. That's just a lovely deep cut, and I love that choice.
Yeah, I like this. He always has so much action going on in his pictures.
So good. Snake Eyes and Scarlet in the drive. Well, yeah, I think in the driver's seat. Cross country sitting on the most dangerous position. Beachhead, Leatherneck getting shot at. And how lucky is Beachhead? That's a good point. He has been peppered there and completely unscathed. And Leatherneck and of course, my favourite in there, Blamin. I said his name earlier, and why can't I say it now?
Claymore?
What happened there? I had that was the weirdest brain fart I've ever had in my life. Yeah, Claymore.
I wasn't sure if you froze. Maybe your internet is just going so bad that it's freezing you now.
My internet is so bad. I freeze as a human being. Amazing. Yeah, I love that. And of course, this is another cracker. Snowjob and Blizzard. Isn't this great?
Yeah, that's really nice. That's going to be a really hard landing, but they're accomplishing a lot in the meantime.
The landing's going to suck, but you're going to kill a lot of snow serpents. So well done on that. It's just brilliant, though, isn't it? I can't get enough of Kickley's work. Every time you post something, I'm like, yeah, this is the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it does make me want snow serpents with skis.
Oh, yeah, that's true, actually. I kind of do want that as well. Although we do have them for classified. Oh, they've got snowboards, not skis.
Yeah, snowboards. Yeah.
I'm going to have to army build snow job now just so that I can have snow serpents on skis. Easy. And of course, one more last thing. We are on TikTok. I posted another video very recently. Yes, I made a bit of a faux pas, and I accidentally revealed the fact that we're getting an Iron Grenadier bat. That was an accident. It slipped out. We're getting an Iron Grenadier bat. It was an accident, but I thought I'd own it and just make a proper full-on video on TikTok to show that faux pas in full force style. So there you go. Go check out those. And there's a couple of videos there at the moment. One is on the well, I should shout out Pat for this, because Pat did a whole panel where he discussed, well, not a whole panel, but part of the panel was to discuss that torch entrenching knife situation. So obviously I did a Let's Talk Classified torch video. I at the time, the information I had at hand was slightly incorrect, and so I rectified it on a TikTok video with Pat's wonderful guidance. It was an entrenching knife, and it was that was going to come with torch, wasn't it?
Yeah. Shout out to Chris Murray. Also, it was the two of us had put together that panel. So I always end up learning something every time I do a panel with Chris Murray, and sometimes we learn it together, because you end up digging into things that you otherwise wouldn't necessarily be taking a second look at.
Absolutely. And yeah, it was cool to know. And obviously that entrenching knife found its way into the night landing. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's like it feels like a nice kind of bow mystery, like, you know, case closed sort of feeling, doesn't it?
It's like all the parts are there. I believe that's what the truth is.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, go check out TikTok, go follow and all that good stuff and all those other platforms. That's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Full Force Weekly, presented by Generals Joe's Reborn. Shout out to Justin Bell. And of course, thank you, Pat, for joining me once more, my man.
Thanks again. Yeah, thanks for letting me join a little late. I appreciate it. Sorry for being late.
This ain't school. I'm not going to tell you off. It was totally fine. I'm glad you could join before I started. It was great. Anyway, we just didn't get to banter at the beginning. There was no fluffy two-screen banter going on, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh well. Next time. Anyway, thanks to all our patrons, all the viewers, all of our commenters, all of everyone for the everything and all the support and everything. We really appreciate it. See you on the next one. Stay fresh, cheese bags. And as always, after 3, you know what to do. 1, 2, 3.
Full force.
See ya.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on X, formerly Twitter, @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page, facebook.com/TheFullForce. We've also added a brand new Instagram, so check us out there as well, @TheFullForce Podcast, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on any of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce Podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.